Hello and welcome to the CWG Weekly. This is a special episode in which we'll be looking at the very recently announced PlayStation 4. My name is Matt, and for this one-off episode I will be joined by Ryan.
Hello.
Hello.
Good to be here.
Good to be here.
You're always here.
So we will only be looking at the PlayStation 4 in this episode. This is not the usual day that the episodes go up, but it is a very special day because obviously the PlayStation 4 has been announced by Sony at the Sony PlayStation 2013 event, and we have a lot to talk about.
Yes, after much speculation, it actually did turn out to be the PS4 and not the PS Vita Slim.
Yep, that's coming later.
Mm.
We should point out straight away that they didn't actually show the PlayStation 4 console. They showed it in action and they showed the controller and stuff, but they didn't actually show the console, and people are moaning about that.
Yeah, let's not get me started on that straight away. I'm sure we'll come back to that.
Okay. So we will probably start with the system itself, or what we know of it at least. There wasn't really much explained. We know some very vague specifications, mainly a supercharged PC architecture using an x86 CPU, enhanced PC graphics card, 8 GB of RAM, and a local storage HDD for storage. That's pretty self-explanatory, really. So there are a few leaked details. We're not probably going to talk about those because we can't really talk about them unless it's kind of certain.
You can't really be trusted, especially with most of the rumors that have been going around with this. It's been crazy.
Yeah. So I suppose we can move straight on to the controller. And by the way, if you are getting bored of any specific part of this, you can find timestamps in the description to go to the other two things that we're going to talk about, which are network and games. But we're going to talk about the controller right now, and it is the DualShock 4. You'll see that on your screen at the moment, and it's an interesting controller.
To be honest, when I first saw it, I wasn't like when the development kit and the first controller sort of got out. I sort of looked at it and thought that looks kind of horrible. But I don't know, since they've been showing off more and more, it's kind of grown on me.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad they didn't deviate too much from the actual design we're all used to.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder what Microsoft are going to do with the next Xbox, actually. Are they going to go for maybe something like the Xbox 360 controller, or are they going to make something completely different like they did with the original Xbox? But I suppose we shouldn't really be talking about that in this show.
I've just noticed I'm comparing the picture to my PS3 controller I have now, and the controllers are actually comprised of almost 4 circles, whereas on the PS3 controller, like the circle for the actual directional buttons kind of cut in with the analog one. It looks like they're more spaced apart this time, actually.
Yeah.
It looks like more of a longer controller altogether, especially with the front touchpad. Which, yeah. Go ahead.
That is.
I know where you were going.
I think the general design of the controller is what we would expect from it, and I mean the face buttons are there and the D-pad is there exactly where it should be by the look of it.
Yeah.
Obviously we can't really tell the scale of it just from this picture, but I can't imagine it will be too much bigger than the actual PS3 controller.
No.
So let's go through some of the features. It does look quite interesting. So we have the touchpad on the front, which must be inspired by the PlayStation Vita, which has one on the back. It'll be interesting to see how that works, because and like what it's actually used for a start.
Yeah.
I don't know honestly what it could be used for.
the way I was thinking about it is because some of the PS3 games have cooperability if someone's using a Vita and someone's using the PS3 controller. If you take little bit cooperability, cooperatively use both of those systems, and I can kind of see it being used as, instead of having one person use both, this one is going to have both of them together. So you could have puzzles which only allow you to use that, but you've got to use like another half of the controller. Think of it almost like a Nintendo 64 controller, where you hold your hand on one side and then use the touchpad with the other hand that you're not using.
Yeah. I think it'll be if they do it right, at least, because maybe if you I suppose it depends how you select things. It's like I would consider it to be used best on things like the store, and especially like the PlayStation Store on PS3. That was a mess to get through, the old one. The new one is kind of crap in a different way.
Yeah.
But with a cursor, that could have been much easier, and like with the PlayStation Move, for example, it's much easier to navigate some menus. So I think this could be used for that. But it's just, how do you select things, and how do you know where your cursor is? I suppose like there's something with the back touch on the PS Vita. You can see your circle when you touch the back screen on some games, like Little Big Planet Vita. So I don't know. It wasn't really shown in use with any games that were shown at the event, so we don't know what exactly the idea behind it being used is.
Kind of interested to know why they decided to go with the volume on the controller as well. I mean, what game is going to have that sort of feature built in? Is it going to sort of make you feel, if you're in first person mode, you're going to hear things more closer to you from that speaker?
Yeah, that's the next thing we talk about then. You can see there's a speaker on the front. There is also a headphone jack on the bottom, so you could plug in. I think that's quite a cool idea, personally. If you maybe don't want to bother someone else, maybe they're reading a book or something in the same room as you while you're playing your PS4, just plug in your headphones to the controller, and presumably it would just give you all the sound from the TV to your headset. And I've heard some rumors about it being used for 3D audio, which is quite interesting. I suppose that's what you were kind of aiming at with the first-person shooter thing. Although, if it's right in front of you, I can't really see how that's going to be very good for 3D audio. It should be behind you, really.
Also, the headphone jack almost seems sort of like the headphone jacks on the Xbox controllers, where it sort of looks like you can put a headset in there. So it would be kind of interesting if it actually were for that.
Yeah.
Because it's got like a little bar by it as well. Weird.
Now let's move on to the thing that makes this controller rather unique, the light bar on the back. Now this is obviously inspired by the PlayStation Move controller, and it is used in tandem with a stereo camera, which we'll get to in a bit. And it's really quite interesting. On the development kit photos that were leaked before, it looked really quite ugly and out of place, but here it looks really well implemented.
It looks quite fancy, honestly.
And again, I'm intrigued to see how people will use that.
Yeah.
We haven't actually seen any demonstrations with it yet.
I'm curious to know, I mean, it's not very gameplay changing, but I'm curious to know if that also changes colour depending on what player you are, like it did with the Move controllers. That would be quite cool.
Yeah, my Move controller always was pink. I don't know why. Every game it turns pink.
I don't know why that was set to default player 1. I don't know whose idea that was.
And something that we noticed a little while ago while we were ogling at this this photo is it actually has rubber on the back for extra grip. That's quite cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I've only had rubber on those cheap third-party controllers. The GameCube, I think it was. I had rubber on the back of those.
Yeah.
It's good until someone with sweaty palms decides to hand you the controller.
You can also see as well that the L2 and the R2 are both again triggers instead of just buttons, similar to the DualShock 3.
Yeah.
Which, I kind of like that. It differentiates it from other controllers.
I've always liked the triggers because it's especially good for like driving games.
Yeah.
You can, toggle how much you want to accelerate by putting it down more.
Yeah.
Now, we did see. Well, most of this is kind of like the DualShock 3. So you have that jack on the top where you can just plug your controller into the PS4, and presumably you're going to be able to charge it by plugging it into a USB slot. We do know there is going to be a USB slot, presumably 3.0 on the PS4 itself. So it'll be interesting to see how that works. I don't know if there's going to be like maybe wireless charging. I've heard quite a lot about that lately. It was a big thing at CES. So right. I guess we'll find out in the future if that's going to be implemented.
Yeah.
And we have one final thing to talk about with the controller, which is the share button. Now you'll notice that we don't have a start or select button this time. We have a share and options button.
Yes.
Switch back to that view again. And I don't know what I'm really going to talk about with this. I don't know why I set that up, but
I'm very, very interested to see how they use the share button in different games. Because I mean, even if it works the same for every game unanimously, that's still going to be kind of cool. Because just the ability to share at just the touch of a button, is a quite cool concept in itself. I mean, we'll talk about it more when we get to more of the network side, but
yeah,
just the ability that you don't have to scroll through the options, sort of edit the video in the certain place you want. You can just click that button and then boom, it's pretty much done.
Boom.
Boom.
So one last thing, we have the PS button, of course, in the middle there. Yep. We also have the analog sticks, which have little alcoves in them.
That's a beautiful word.
So yeah, I wasn't really sure about it when I first saw it in the dev kit pictures. But I guess I'll have to actually hold one to see how it looks, really, how it feels.
I think it's a welcome addition.
Yeah, I'm kind of used to my PS3 controller, but like I'm looking at it now and I can see that the grip is all kind of molded off.
Yeah, worn away.
So
it'll definitely be better for those longer play sessions when your thumbs start sweating and they slip off the things every now and then.
Yeah.
It's nice.
So let's talk a bit about this stereo camera.
Okay.
Let's talk for maybe 30 seconds about it because we know nothing about it.
It looks pretty. Got the blocks and the cameras. There you go. Don't understand why it's there.
It's essentially connected.
Yes.
So it's two cameras, two PlayStation eyes together, which will be able to detect the depth in the room. I don't know if it uses the same kind of technology as Knack, because I know that Knack projects kind of dots around the room to detect depth. Well, this one is, I presume, a bit different.
Yeah.
But we know nothing about it.
We don't know. How's it going to be used in games? We don't know. Only time will tell.
But we don't know if it's actually going to be necessary, if it's going to be like with the console when you get it. But as we said earlier, the controller has a light pad on the back, so it would probably have to be used with that, unless you can use your old PlayStation Eye camera. But I don't know. We'll see about that.
Yeah.
It's worth noticing. It's worth mentioning actually as well that PlayStation. What am I about? Media Molecule did a tech demo with PlayStation Move on PS4, so it looks like it will be supporting PlayStation Move. and you won't have to buy a new PlayStation Move controller, presumably. So it was just a tech demo, though. It wasn't actually a game.
Unfortunately.
We might get into that later.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that we haven't mentioned yet is that the PS4 will be available in the holiday season 2013. So that is probably around November. That's no specific region for that, so we'll see. But this was an American meeting conference thingy, so it's probably going to be around America that time.
Yeah.
Now we're going to move on to the network, and I think this is Ryan's bit, as I don't know as much about the network as he does, because my streaming was messing up and I haven't had time to watch it back.
Yeah. The stream was very on and off throughout the whole thing, considering there was 750,000 people watching at one point.
Yeah.
But yeah, essentially, a little while ago, Sony signed a contract with GaiKai, and GaiKai is going to be the main network program for the PS4. They're emphasizing a lot more sort of social play, to the point where they were quite passionate about the spectate feature. Sort of like if I was on a game and I was stuck on a point, Matt could just watch what I was doing and it would stream, and they seem quite adamant to tell us that it's 100% real time. Yeah, they seem to really want to enforce that it is real time. And then if Matt's completed it, say I could give him the control and then he can jump into my game and then just help me with that and give me the control back. Or just
I think that's a
post
very cool feature.
Horrible comments on my screen, which yeah, is very cool. It's sort of to emulate the fact that your friends are going to be in the room with you when they're not actually with you.
Yeah.
Which is very cool. Another feature is with their downloads. They tried to talk about the fact that you can download the first little chunk of a game, and then while you can actually play it while it's still downloading on the second CPU chip, which is actually in the PS4. It can download that in the background while you're actually playing the exact same game, which is very cool.
I have a few things written down here about it. Let's see. So the share button seems to be used for this kind of networking function, and you can stream over Ustream. It's got multicasting capabilities. Like Ryan mentioned, you can post comments to the screen. So I could, like you said, bombard him with negative feedback while he's playing.
Hateful comments.
Yeah.
Why are you so bad at this game?
Yeah. And I think it'll be a lot like OnLive. Now, if you've used OnLive, then you get this menu straight away. You can go into it's essentially a grid full of people playing games, and you see it in the menu, and it's really cool. And you can click someone's screen and you watch them straight away. And you're just watching them live play. Sometimes they have a microphone on, usually they don't. And I remember playing the Amnesia: The Dark Descent trial on live, and I was just strolling through it, and then I noticed that 5 people were watching me play in the bottom left, and they can post comments and stuff. And that's the same kind of thing that we're looking at here, but on a bit of a more stable, presumably, scale. And because it was quite laggy on live, so we'll see how that
it definitely had its moments. But with this GaiKai, they're kind of enforcing how powerful this system really is.
Oh yes, now we can get to the point that the PlayStation 4 will not be backwards compatible with PlayStation 3 discs. It looks like it will be running Blu-ray discs, but not PlayStation 3.
Yes.
And that is because it is not using a cell processor, it's using a x86 CPU, and they are different to program for.
Yes.
And so yeah, that is an interesting thing.
Before you jump to conclusions, please do not flip your shit or flip a table, because GaiKai is having support for streaming PS1, PS2, and PS3 games straight to your system. Now, whether this is going to be sort of a subscription-based service, or whether this is going to be dictated on, say, if you put the PS3 disc in the system, it's going to read on the system that you put this disc in and then stream it to you from GaiKai, which is what we hope. We don't know exactly how it works yet. We just know that it is going to have that feature.
Yeah. And I suppose it's interesting to bring up if we will actually be able to get our existing PlayStation Network accounts, or Sony Entertainment Network, I suppose I should call it now.
Yeah.
On the PlayStation 4, they haven't really said. So
No, very true.
They did show trophies though, so there are still trophies.
Oh yes.
And they look the same. There's still gold, silver, bronze, and platinum. So I guess we'll see. Probably at E3 we'll see a lot more of this, the actual network and system. But some people are complaining about it being social because I don't know. Well, I don't understand why people are making so much of a fuss about it. I suppose if you can turn it off, then that is a bonus. But I feel
like they should be able to allow you to turn it off, because there was worries that you don't want your Facebook friends to see what you're playing in case they try to join you and you don't want to play with them. But then at that point, I don't understand why you're friends with them on Facebook anyway.
Well, like, for me, I don't want my Facebook to be anything to do with my PS4 if I had one.
Yeah, likewise.
So hopefully you don't get forced into that. Hopefully, maybe they can give you the opportunity to log in with Facebook like most websites do these days.
Yeah.
But I don't want that. I have no desire for that. But I still want these PlayStation GaiKai network stuff, like streaming games and getting support from other friends.
Yeah.
Because that's a really cool feature, I think.
But only across the actual PlayStation Network, not any other fucking third-party, first-party networks. Don't want. Do not need.
I think that about covers what we've got for network then.
Yes.
And we can turn into the meat of the pie. We'll turn into the meat. It will be pork. We have a few games have been revealed, and we have seen them in action. We have seen videos, we have seen screenshots, and it's quite impressive when you see them. We will talk about them one by one. First, there were a few tech demos, and that is the Unreal Engine 4, which was announced, I think, early last year.
It was a little while ago now, yeah.
It's a good-looking thing. I think they released it like a video demonstrating it around the time that the CryEngine 3, I think, video was released like a few months ago. Actually, I think it was around E3. There were quite a few engines, next-gen engines, being revealed then.
I think it was, yeah.
And the Square Enix one, and which is, I forget the name, Luminosity, I think it's called, something like that.
Yeah.
I have it written down somewhere. I've lost it. Oh yeah, Luminosity Studio. That's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's support for that, and it ran in real time. They were watching a presentation, and you can move the camera around, which was quite interesting. And it ran smoothly. I don't know what frame rate it was at, but
I'm not sure. But either way, it looked very fluid and it looked very nice.
There was also a Havok tech demo in which they had a environment and they dropped like 1 million or so random shapes from the sky to see how the Havok physics work, and there was no lag on that either.
Yeah, it was literally 1 million blue squares.
Yeah,
it was beautiful.
I don't know who's gonna tidy that up, but it's not me.
I feel bad for the guy who it is, though.
Yeah. You got a text. Lovely.
I did, thank you.
Okay, so we're going to go into the actual games now. Where I'll start by saying, I guess, that the platform hopes to be more open to indie games, and that is a very good thing indeed.
Yes.
There's been a bit of controversy with current gen consoles, as like Double Fine, Tim Schafer said before that. I think he said it cost $60,000 or something like that to publish a patch on Xbox Live. $60,000 for a patch, and that's why they haven't patched some of their games in the digital market.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of indies go to Steam and PC rather than consoles. But also Sony have a big kind of period that you have to go through before you can actually publish your game on them, with indie games especially. So
yeah,
hopefully it'll be a bit more open this time. Now let's actually go into the games this time. Knack.
Silent K, Knack.
By Japan Studios, Sony Japan Studios, and Mark. Help me out here. What's his name again? Oh no.
It's gone over my head.
Let me get him. Bear with me. Talk about Knack, Ryan.
Knack is sort of an animated thing. It looks very good. It's essentially this robot that they created, which has the ability of like quick growth to make him into this giant and this powerhouse. But at the same time, his normal self is quite a cute little thing, sort of like a sack boy. It looks very cool. I don't think, because this is actually the first game they showed off, where they showed off the games for the system. I don't think it was really the best game to show off first, because it's not realistic. It's meant to be animated. It still looks very, very good. The particle effects when he's sort of growing all these new pieces on him look very good. It looks more of sort of a story, more of sort of a story aspect that they're going for instead of gameplay.
It kind of reminds me of Cameo, that launch game for Xbox.
Yeah, actually. Yeah.
Like drone. We'll see, I guess, how that turns out. They did show a bit of gameplay for this. They also showed a story trailer. You can see it probably in the background at the moment.
Yeah.
And it's hard to describe what it is really, because it's not really a platformer. Well, I suppose it is a platform in the style of kind of Ratchet and Clank, if you count that as a platformer. Action adventure game, I guess. But this one we haven't really. I suppose this is the one that we've seen quite a bit of, but because they used it for a few tech demos and demonstrations.
Yeah.
Mark Cerny was his name, by the way.
Okay. It looks quite good.
I forgot to mention something with the network actually. Let's go into that at the moment. There is support for a few different services that already exist. Shall we go through them?
Yes, of course. Yep. Go ahead.
MLB TV, which is baseball, I guess.
League Baseball.
Hulu Plus, Crunchyroll, I don't know what that is. Crackle, Voodoo, Netflix, Laugh, I don't know what that is either. Epix, Sony's Video Unlimited and Music Unlimited services. Neon Alley, Facebook, Amazon Instant Video, NHL, Game Center, Cinema Now, and PlayStation Plus. And that's something that I'm a bit excited about for that. How are they going to implement PlayStation Plus in the PS4?
It'd be very cool.
So let's go back into the games. That should have been in the network section, but I completely forgot. Woo! Next game is KillZone Shadowfall.
KillZone Shadowfall.
Now, I had KillZone 2 on the PlayStation. I probably still have it actually. I thought it was quite bland. It's one of the games that really pushed the capabilities, like what the PS3 is capable of.
Yes.
Graphics wise, it looks very good. I never really got into it much. I didn't play much of the story because I thought it was so just ugly. Well, not ugly. It looked really good, but like the colors were really bland and depressing.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
this is the first game we've seen of a returning IP from Sony.
yeah.
So it was quite exciting to see some familiar faces on a new system. Graphically, this looks very, very good.
Mm.
I was talking to Matt when we were actually watching the conference, and we were just saying how blown away we were by just the environments and how realistic it all looks.
Yeah.
And that was before he even started, really, before he got into the action. At a point, I was kind of like, it just seems sort of the same, but then I was brought back into the amazing graphics and how good it actually looks. So I'm kind of just hoping they take it slightly different away from the KillZone that they've got so far, but not veering off too much differently to actually make it a bit weird.
The reason I had that little rant, I guess, was because I think this one looks a lot more bright and kind of, I feel like the old ones had kind of post-processing effects that they wanted to make it look a bit more moody and realistic, but this one they don't really need that anymore because it does look realistic as it is.
Yeah.
And there's some really good effects, things like particle fog effects, which I was nerding over.
Yes.
Fire looks great. Reflections.
Lights.
There's a lot. Yeah, lighting. There are PCs will always be kind of the dominant thing for graphics. Even when this comes out, there's probably going to be PCs more powerful than it. There probably already are PCs a lot more powerful than what the PS4 is going to be.
Yes.
But I mean, like for 4 times the price, probably.
Yeah.
But this is a step up from the PS3. Definitely, it's a massive step up from the PS3.
Yeah.
And even if some of the PS3 stuff looked quite realistic anyway.
It did, yeah.
I mean, how do you top that? Well, you add a load more effects and particle effects and lighting effects, and it looks a hell of a lot better. I forgot what point I was actually making there.
It's the point where it's something we've already seen on previous consoles. We've seen it on 2 previous consoles, actually, the PS2 and the PS3. And you can kind of get a comparison from what the PS2 to the PS3 and then the PS3 to the PS4, and you will still see a significant difference between the PS3 versions and the PS4 version. And I'm excited.
And like you said yesterday, with the launch lineup, is always the worst kind of looking games are at the launch.
Yeah.
Later on down the line, we get the time where the developers have found out what it can do, and they
find
really
out the capabilities of the console, push it to the limits. This is just scratching the surface of what the console can do, and it looks this good.
Yeah.
So, excited.
I'm really looking forward to Naughty Dog getting a game on it, because I mean, they always take the hardware and just make it cry.
They always deliver.
Yeah. And also Media Molecule, they didn't actually show their game, unfortunately, which is rumoured to be called Toya. But I think, they have that interesting art style that they always have, and I'd like to see how that would convert to these amazing graphics that we can have with the PS4. I suppose we should move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Is Drive Club by Evolution Studios, who made Motorstorm.
Yes.
I didn't mention, actually, KillZone was made by Guerrilla, who obviously made the other KillZone games.
Yeah.
So this is Evolution, Motorstorm. They also made some rally games a while ago. Yeah. And this is an interesting one. It is a driving game, as you can probably guess. The graphics look pretty phenomenal. But with cars, like driving games, I always find it hard to tell if they are really excelling in graphics-wise, because like even Forza Horizon on Xbox 360 is a very good-looking game.
Yeah.
Gran Turismo 5 is a very good-looking game, but it's been out for years. That's what I mean. There are parts of it which are really quite ugly, like people standing on the side of the road.
Yeah.
They like 2 polygons.
Sounds about right. I'm quite excited for this. I think I got the excitement from just watching the guy talk about it because he sounded so enthusiastic. He was probably one of the most enthusiastic people there. But as he said, this is a concept of theirs they've been working at Evolution for about 10 years now. And they have a good track record with release launch title games. Motorstorm was probably one of the best games on the PS3 at launch, and I'm hoping this is going to be similar. My only worry with this one is he said that it's not so much to do about winning races and doing races, it's more about challenging other clubs and challenging clubs, which is fine, but it doesn't really seem to have much. Just if you want to play the game solo, the benefits for you playing as a team in this game are huge. They're so drastic compared to what they are playing on your own. I like how it's kind of forcing you to, you know, build a team, do this, do that, but at the same time, if it's all sort of based on challenges, is it really going to appeal to sort of the casual gamer? That's my worry for this one.
Well, he did also mention tournaments. I suppose that would require like the team, and
yeah,
I think there probably will be an opportunity for people to play on their own if they don't have that team to play with. And
yeah.
I mean, for casual gamers, I imagine a driving game. I don't know if that really appeals to casual gamers, does it?
Well, I mean, Motorstorm was quite a casual game, especially the first one.
Really? What?
The first one was. I mean, later on when they added online and people were abusing things in the game, then it became less casual. I like how much detail they've put into the cars.
Yeah. The developer did like a walkthrough. He says it's a first-person experience, so you actually can look around your car and get into the seat and open the door and stuff. I'm not sure how true that's going to be when it actually comes to the game.
Yeah, he said that you can. They want to give you the feeling like you are actually owning this vehicle. They want you to sort of feel as if you own it and feel like you're touching the wheel when you're playing it.
All I can say is I hope you don't have to get into the car every time you start a race. A lot of walking. But like because he showed a lot of detail on the car that he showed. So he had like on the lights he had where it was there was that rainbow effect that you get when you clean it.
The refraction from the bulbs. Yeah, very nice.
So much detail in literally everything. I can't see how that can happen with every single car in the game. I think we're going to get the same thing that we had with Gran Turismo, where they had loads. They had a few really detailed cars, and they advertised those in like E3 and stuff. Look at our cars.
Yeah.
The cockpit is amazing. But then when you get like the other 90% of the cars, it looks terrible.
Yeah.
I hope that doesn't happen for this. They say that it's been their 10-year dream, so maybe they've had loads of time to kind of get details on 3D models for these cars already.
Yeah. The only thing that was stopping them was the capability of the previous consoles, and now the PS4 has the power to make their dream come true and make this game a reality for them. So if it really does require as much power as they're saying it needs, then it's going to be pretty goddamn good.
Okay, I think we can move on to the next one now, unless you have anything else to say.
No, I think that's pretty much it.
And this next one is one that we are both excited about. Infamous Second Son by Sucker Punch.
Ooh, gives me chills.
Now, we've known that Sucker Punch have been making a game for a while, so I think it was 2009 Infamous 2 was released, I think. Maybe later.
2009, 2010, yeah.
And we haven't heard a peep from them since then. So, what have they been doing? Well, apparently this. They've been making Infamous Second Son. Now, they didn't actually show a gameplay demonstration of this. One of the developers had like he was bold. He had a nice monologue. It was quite depressing.
Yeah, it's quite touching.
And then they just showed the trailer, which you can see in the background at the moment. So this is Infamous. Enough said.
That's pretty much all you need to say about this game. Is this game gonna do well? Not yes, not no. It's Infamous. It will do well. I'm just curious to see. I said this to Matt yesterday. You know whether there's good or evil in the previous ones based on the color of lightning. And this guy is just seeing from the trailer now uses fire. Story-wise, is he related to Cole? We don't know. Is it going to have good and evil similar to the first couple? We don't know. And if it does, is his fire going to change color? That seems a bit silly to me if it does. Although blue flame is technically the hottest. Actually, no, white flame is, but we're not getting into that. We're not a science program.
Well, like, because we didn't see Cole at all in the trailer. And we're not going to go into any spoilers from Infamous 2.
Nope.
But it didn't really leave much for a sequel, so I don't know how they're doing this. Is this... I don't know how they're doing it at all.
Is this a second race sphere?
Maybe it's like before Cole. I don't know.
Maybe it might even be that, like, you know, Cole is sort of based in America. This might even be in Japan somewhere. It could be somewhere completely different, or it could be Cole's son. But then that begs the question: why does he not have lightning powers and why does he have fire powers? But again, we don't know.
Why is the game called Second Son?
I want to know.
Is it his second son?
If it's his second son, where's the first son?
Who's the wife?
Is that going to be the PS5 game? The infamous First Son?
No, that'll be third son.
Dun dun dun! The game looks very good. It's going to do well.
Well, we can't really say that though, can we? We can't say that because we haven't seen any gameplay.
If they stick to what they do well and what they do, what they've done with the previous Infamous games on the PS3, it's going to do pretty good. I'm excited for this one. Very excited.
Yeah, I've always liked Infamous. It had flaws in every one of them, but I very much look forward to it.
Yes.
So next up is a game which was demonstrating the indie side. A game by Jonathon, who made Braid. And he's gone from Braid, a side-scrolling platformer, which is a few years old now. Puzzle platformer is a little bit complex with the time mechanic, and I can't beat it because I'm stuck.
Yes. It's quite well known for being not the easiest of games.
It's got some underlining story behind it.
Yes.
He's gone from that to The Witness, and this is not necessarily a new announcement, but I think we got the first gameplay from it.
Yeah.
And it looks pretty amazing.
Just imagine going from KillZone to this. Look at how immersive this feels. I mean, you probably can't hear the music right now, but just how the music and sort of the singing in the background just sort of complements all of the colors and all the brightness that's in this game. It just all looks.
You almost turned into Dame Drops then.
It looks beautiful. We can't really. My only problem with this trailer is, what is this gameplay? Is this gameplay? What do you do?
Well, he said at the start it's an open world puzzle game.
It is open world, which
sounds interesting to me.
Yeah.
But apart from that, we don't really know.
Yes. Again, it's another one I'm excited for.
He did say that everything in the world is placed there for a specific purpose.
Yeah.
That might be indie gamer talk. Like, that tree. Why is that tree there? It's just there because there's a tree.
It's a way of life.
You lied. But, you know...
It's a symbol of hope.
We'll see how that turns out. I mean, like, the PS3 launch PSN games. Presumably this will be downloaded. We had things like, I don't know if it's at launch, but we had Super Rubber Duck.
Super Stardust.
Super Stardust, yeah. We had, later on down the line, we had that thing with the flying dog, which is awful, and I bought it. What was that called? Lingering Shadows or something like that?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, if this is the
Shadows.
standard of the first downloadable titles on PS4 compared to those, I suppose Super Stardust isn't that bad, but
No.
I never really got on with it. Then I think we're in for a good time.
Yeah, definitely.
And later on down the line, obviously, you get stuff a bit better like Journey and The Walking Dead and The Unfinished Swan. Supersonic acrobatic rocket powered battle cars. Oh yeah. So let's move on to the next game.
Okay, what
Which
we got?
is... Now we're going on to third-party games. So that was all of the PlayStation and indie games out of the way. Hopefully we'll see a few more over the next few months, and E3 is in June, so we'll probably see quite a lot there. And we're going to start with Capcom. So Ryan's idol, Yoshiharu Ono.
My one of my favorite video game producers ever, I can't even say it now. Yoshinori Ono come onto the stage. First of all, he claimed that it's not about Street Fighter, so I wasn't too happy. But then he showed off a new engine they've been working on, which they've called it Pantaray.
Pantaray.
The Pantaray engine. And then we got our first look at Deep Down.
Yes.
It is a working title currently. We don't really know too much about it. It looks quite RPG, almost like Dark Souls? Dark Souls and Dragon's Dogma sort of combined, sort of. It looks very impressive graphically.
Well, yeah, yeah. The demo, we don't know if it was in-game, we presume it was, they didn't actually say.
It had a user interface at points in it.
Yeah, but they could have just put that over to demonstrate how it might work. I think it probably is in-game, because none of them seem to be really doing pre-rendered stuff, apart from maybe that infamous trailer, because I don't know how they would do that in-game.
Yeah.
But it looks interesting. There was some kind of dragon fight, you can see it in the background now. But obviously we don't know much about it. Deep Down is a weird name. I hope they do change it.
Well, it is only working title for now.
Yeah. And I think I saw a few different people kind of playing together in the demo.
Yeah.
So it'd be good if that's co-op.
Be interesting.
But I think that's all we know about that one. So.
Yeah, we don't know too much.
By the way, you can find the full links to the trailers in the links in the description if you want to see them in full with audio as well. I definitely recommend it. After we finish talking, you know. Yeah,
don't leave.
Got a few more to talk about. We are going with the Square Enix Luminous Studio. I think they did a little demonstration. Oh yeah, they did. They showed the.
They did their little video.
Yeah. And they promised a new Final Fantasy game at E3.
The executive producer came on the stage. Final Fantasy man himself stood there and said, "Wait until E3."
Yeah.
And then he fucked off. Not happy.
Watch Dogs. That was next.
Watch Dogs.
Ubisoft. Now this is a game that Ryan hadn't seen before. I saw at E3. I'm sure most of you had seen it at E3. It looked really good at E3. It pretty much stole E3 2012. It was shown at Ubisoft's press conference. And it has now been shown running on the PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what this is, it is a third-person game. I don't know how you describe it. Where you have basically... It's a world where everything is controlled by technology. And it's all wired together in complex...
Everything is connected.
Yeah, in complex ways, so that, like... To solve complex problems, like traffic, for example. was one of the things where there's no traffic because it's all wired together, and the roads are all sorted out so to make sure there isn't traffic.
Yeah.
But you play someone who is a hacker, and he has access to this stuff, and he can hack maybe a traffic light to cause crashes, or he can hack bollards coming out of the ground to cause a crash, which is one of the cool things that we saw.
We also saw him taking someone's bank details and then using those details to withdraw this man's money.
The demo at E3 was someone was on their phone, I think, and he hacked it to find out where someone was. Then that was his contract to kill them.
Oh, right.
He went outside and he found the car that they were in, and it was on his map, and he caused a crash at a traffic light by hacking the traffic light.
Yeah.
And he killed the guy who he was supposed to kill. So
it's very cool. It's very complex. But it's not a complex game. It's a complex system. It doesn't look complex to play, which is good. It's something that's very difficult to get. I don't know. I really like this game concept. I'm curious to see more about it. Really.
There was a bit at the end that I liked where he hacked a train to stop it from moving.
He hacked the train to stop it. Jumped on top of the train and then started it going again. And then a camera saw him at the end.
I don't know what that was all about.
It sort of looked like the camera saw him, and then the camera was going to transmit his data to the police, but he hacked it before it could, wiping all the data of him off it, and then he got away. So that's how it seemed.
Well, there was a lot of speculation at E3 about which console this was actually shown on, or what it would be for. They did say that it would be for current generation consoles, but now it doesn't look like it will be. Only PC, Xbox, whatever the next Xbox is, and PS4. I don't know if it's going to be on Wii U, but we're focusing on the PS4 right now.
Yep.
So we will move on to the next game, and this is one that me and Ryan weren't especially thrilled about. Blizzard have announced their support for the PlayStation 4 by releasing Diablo 3 on the PlayStation 4, but they're also releasing it on PlayStation 3. It's a game that we haven't played, and I have no desire to, because I don't really fancy always on DRM for single player games myself.
Ooh. Apparently their goal is world domination.
Yeah.
Which sounds good. So I'm curious to see how it turns out.
Yeah. And also it has 4-player co-op. Yeah. We can't really talk especially enthusiastically about that because obviously we haven't played it and it's been out for a while. So
yeah.
But Blizzard on consoles is big for a lot of people, I guess. I'm not sure how they can really do things like strategy games like their speciality, StarCraft and Warcraft, on consoles because it's supposed to be played on PC.
Yeah.
But we'll see, I guess, if they even decide to do it on consoles. And we go on to the final announcement, Destiny.
Yeah. Which
we know about nothing about. It's good.
4 of the beautiful men from Bungie came on the stage, and only one of them spoke, may I add, and he said, yeah, this new game we're making is going to be on this one, it's PS4. So yeah, Destiny, PS4, as well as PS3 still.
Now they're also kicking dirt in the eyes of Microsoft, who they used to love.
Oh yes.
By releasing exclusive content on the PlayStation.
Yeah, they're like, oh, by the way, PlayStation are getting exclusive content. I actually said this to Matt when we were watching it. I said it's funny how they're doing that, considering Halo was an exclusive to Xbox.
Seems like a bit of a...
Pretty much a fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Microsoft.
But, that might just be like an extra hat, so...
Yeah, it's too soon to tell. We don't know anything about the game yet, let alone any of the exclusive content.
Now, you know my rage about this game if you watched the episode 8 of the CWG Weekly, because I mentioned how the writers and journalists were able to go to Bungie studio to see the game, but they didn't actually see any footage of the game, and they didn't get to play it at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was good. We don't know what it is. We know it's a first-person shooter MMO. That's about it.
Yeah.
PS3, PS4, yes. And I think we've come to the end of it.
Yeah.
So thank you for watching. Do you have any final notes, Ryan?
Thank you for inviting me to be here.
It's all right.
It's been good.
We'll probably do this again when the Xbox is the next Xbox is announced. If that's anytime soon, it might just be E3. You know, maybe.
Yeah.
But for now, that's all for now. So that's all for now. That's all for now.
That's all for
Thanks
now.
for watching. Please like, favorite, and subscribe.
Thank you for watching. Please like, favorite, subscribe for more like this, and we will see you next time.
You bastard. Good.